Let's start with lesser-known urban legends and slowly work our way to the most terrifying one. Number 1. The ghost ship SS Ourang Medan. In 1948, a chilling distress signal echoed across the Indian Ocean. A panicked voice crackled through the radio waves. "All dead! I am also dying!" The SS Ourang Medan, a Dutch cargo ship, was found drifting near Indonesia. When the rescue crew arrived, they couldn't believe their eyes. On the ship's deck, the entire crew lay dead in horrifying positions. Their eyes were wide open, mouths frozen in silent screams of pure terror. Some had their arms twisted in agony, clutching at their chests as if they had suffered an unbearable pain before collapsing. No wounds, no signs of struggle, no survivors. Even the ship's dog, also dead, its face locked in the same expression of horror. The rescue team scoured every inch of the ship, but there was no explanation. The machinery was still running, the cargo untouched. What had killed them all? Then suddenly, a thin mist began to seep from the ship's cargo hold. Before they could react, the rescue crew scrambled to evacuate. Just minutes later, a violent explosion tore the Ourang Medan apart, sending it to the ocean floor. Every trace of evidence was erased. The mystery vanished beneath the cold depths of the sea. To this day, no one knows what truly happened. Some researchers believe the ship was carrying hazardous cargo, perhaps deadly gases or biological weapons that leaked and poisoned the crew. Others claim the Ourang Medan encountered something not of this world. And then there are the skeptics, who insist the ship never existed at all. But regardless of the truth, the final distress call of the Ourang Medan remains one of the most chilling maritime mysteries in history. Do you believe it? Or is it just another fabricated legend? The ocean holds many secrets, but some mysteries are better left undiscovered. Number 2. The grinning man's smile. Have you ever seen a stranger smile at you, but the smile felt anything but friendly? In 1966, on a deserted highway in West Virginia, a man had an encounter he would never forget. His name was Woodrow Derenberger, and the being he met is known as Indrid Cold, or more ominously, the Grinning Man. Derenberger was driving home late at night when suddenly, an unidentified flying object appeared before him. His truck came to a halt. From the darkness, a tall figure stepped forward. He was wearing a green suit, unnaturally thin and towering. But the strangest thing about him was his smile. A grin stretched ear to ear, unchanging. The figure stood motionless. But then, inside Derenberger's mind, a voice echoed,
"Do not be afraid, I mean you no harm."
Derenberger froze. The man hadn't moved his lips, yet he was speaking. Indrid Cold continued,
"I come from a place far, far away, where no one knows war or hatred."
Then, just as suddenly, he began stepping backward, toward the strange craft behind him. No sound, no footprints. The vessel lifted silently into the night sky and disappeared. Derenberger returned home, but from that night on he was never truly alone, because Indrid Cold kept communicating with him, in his dreams, in his thoughts. Derenberger shared his story with the media. Many dismissed him as delusional, but then reports of a tall, eerie man with an unnatural grin began surfacing all across America. Some believe Indrid Cold is an alien. Others say he's a mind-controlling entity. And some theories suggest he never left. If, one day, you notice a stranger standing far away, staring at you with a fixed grin, don't smile back. There are things in this world that science cannot explain, but the most terrifying thing is not knowing if they're watching us right now. Number 3. The cursed village of Kurosuke. Kurosuke Village, an isolated community nestled deep within the mountains. But one morning in 1956, the village was completely empty. Not a single soul remained. Even more terrifying was what they left behind. Villagers from nearby towns were the first to notice something was wrong. There was no smoke rising from chimneys, no laughter of children playing. A search party was sent in. And what they found was chilling. Meals were still on the tables. Oil lamps still burned. Doors were left unlocked. But the people? Gone. All that remained were footprints, hundreds of them, leading deep into the forest behind the village. The search team followed the trail. But when they reached a clearing, the footprints stopped. No signs of struggle. No bodies. No clues as to what happened. An entire village had vanished. Speculations ran wild. Some believed the villagers were taken by a secret cult, forced into the woods to perform some horrifying ritual. Others whispered of a supernatural force, something that pulled them into the darkness. Something no one could escape. But the most disturbing theory? A secret government experiment. The villagers were taken, erased from history. In 1973, an expedition attempted to uncover the truth. But when they arrived, there was no village. The dense forest had swallowed Kurosuke whole. No foundations, no pathways. As if the village had never existed. Yet something strange remained. One explorer later claimed that as night fell, he heard footsteps crunching on dry leaves. And in the pitch-black canopy above, something was watching them. They realized some stories don't need an explanation, and some places are better left alone. Number 4. The Dyatlov Pass Incident. It was February 1959. A group of experienced hikers, led by Igor Dyatlov, set off into the frozen mountains of Kolatsyakhl, a place known as the Mountain of Death. When the group failed to return, a search team was sent in. What they found would become one of Russia's greatest unsolved mysteries. The hiker's tent had been slashed open from the inside. Barefoot footprints led deep into the snow, as if they had fled in panic, running from something. The first bodies were discovered, half buried beneath the snow, nearly naked, barefoot, showing signs of a desperate escape. More corpses were found nearby, some with severe internal injuries, yet no visible wounds. But the most horrifying discovery? 2 bodies were missing their eyes. One was found without a tongue. What killed them? Some believe they ran from an avalanche, but that wouldn't explain the bizarre injuries. Others suggest they witnessed a top-secret Soviet experiment, perhaps a military weapon using infrasound or radiation. Then there are those who believe in something far older, a mythical entity from the indigenous Mansi people, the guardians of the mountain, who destroy anyone who trespasses. What is the truth? No one knows. The official investigation simply declared they were killed by an unknown natural force, a vague explanation that only fueled more theories. In 2019, the Russian government reopened the case, concluding that an unusual avalanche was the most likely cause. But even scientists admitted there are things that still don't add up, and Dyatlov Pass remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. Number 5. The Haunted Doll. Annabelle. She's not the porcelain doll you saw in the movies. In reality, she was just a simple Raggedy Ann doll. But don't let her innocent appearance fool you, because what lurks inside is anything but ordinary. In 1970, a young nurse received the doll as a birthday gift, but just days later, strange things began happening. The doll moved on its own, appearing in places she was certain she hadn't left it. Handwritten notes saying, "Help me," started showing up around the apartment, despite neither her nor her roommate owning that kind of paper. One day they found Annabelle sitting upright in a chair by itself. But the most terrifying moment came one night, when they woke up to find the doll lying in bed next to them. Terrified, they sought help from 2 of the most famous paranormal investigators in America, Ed and Lorraine Warren. And that's when the real horror began. After their investigation, the Warrens confirmed Annabelle wasn't just haunted, she was a gateway for something demonic. They took Annabelle back to their occult museum and locked her inside a sealed glass case. But don't assume she's safe. One day, a young couple visited the museum. The boyfriend mocked Annabelle, tapping on the glass saying,
"If you're really haunted, do something to me."
On the drive home, he lost control of his motorcycle and crashed into a tree. He died instantly. His girlfriend survived. But ever since that day, she swore she was being watched. To this day, Annabelle remains locked inside the Warren Occult Museum with a clear warning sign, "Do not open." But in 2020, a rumor spread like wildfire. Annabelle had disappeared. Though later debunked, one question remains. Do you really believe she's still locked away? Or is she out there somewhere? Some things are not meant to be played with, and some curses should never be tested. Number 6. The Phantom Intruder. From the 1940s to the 1960s, strange home intrusions were reported across America. No signs of forced entry. No valuables stolen. Just one terrifying detail. Homeowners would wake up to find a man standing in their room, staring at them. He became known as the Phantom Intruder. In 1952, a Texas family was awakened by a strange noise near their bedroom window. The father turned on the lights and approached the glass, but no one was there. Yet when he looked closer, he saw smudged handprints on the window pane. A week later, in the dead of night, his daughter screamed. She claimed a man had been standing right beside her bed, but when the family rushed in, the room was empty. No broken locks, no footprints, no explanation. Witnesses described him as a tall, gaunt man, always dressed in dark clothing. He never stole anything. He never spoke. He just watched. Police attempted to track him down. They never could. It was as if he could vanish into thin air. But the most disturbing part? These sightings have never stopped. Many theories have been suggested. A deranged stalker? But he was never caught. A supernatural entity? A wandering spirit that only appears in the dark? Or something worse? That he's still out there, watching, waiting. And if you ever wake up at 3 a.m. and feel like someone is staring at you, don't turn around. Not everything terrifying makes a sound. Sometimes the scariest thing is silence. Number 7. The Crying Mother. In Mexico, people whisper about La Llorona, the weeping woman, a tormented spirit, forever searching for her lost children. But the scariest part? This legend may be based on a real crime. In 1785, a beautiful woman named Maria Gonzalez lived with her 2 young children in a village near Lake Texcoco, Mexico. She fell in love with a wealthy man, but when he abandoned her to marry someone else, Maria was consumed by despair. One night, in a fit of madness, Maria drowned her own children in the river. The moment she realized what she had done, she chased after the rushing waters, screaming their names. But it was too late. By morning, her body was found washed up on the shore, her face twisted in agony. It should have ended there. But then the strange occurrences began. For hundreds of years, countless people have sworn they've heard a woman's ghostly wails near rivers and lakes. Some have even seen a woman in a flowing white dress, her hair cascading down her back, wandering alone at night. And those who dared to look into her face all claim they saw nothing but hollow, empty sockets where her eyes should have been. But there's one terrifying belief about La Llorona. If you hear her crying up close, she is far away. But if her cries sound distant, she is right behind you. To this day, reports of La Llorona persist. In Texas, a couple claimed they saw a glowing white figure standing by the riverbank, but when they approached, she vanished. In Mexico, a taxi driver picked up a woman dressed in white, but when he reached her destination, the back seat was empty. In Colombia, a group of hunters captured footage of a ghostly figure hovering over a river. So, is La Llorona real? Or is she just a legend designed to warn children not to go near the water? Do you believe in La Llorona? Regardless of what you believe, this legend carries a chilling message. Some souls never find peace, and some sorrows, even after centuries, still echo in the night. Number 8. The vanishing at Lake Superior. Lake Superior, the so-called graveyard of the Great Lakes. More than 350 ships have sunk here, and hundreds of people have vanished without a trace. But the scariest part? No one knows exactly how they disappeared. These aren't just ordinary maritime accidents. Locals believe something lurks beneath the waves, pulling them under. In 1975, the massive freighter Edmund Fitzgerald set sail from Superior, carrying 29 seasoned crew members. The sky was clear. There was no storm in sight, but just hours later, the ship sent out a distress call. Massive waves. We can't hold control. We're going down. Then, radio silence. The ship vanished. When the rescue team arrived, not a single body was found. And yet, something strange. When divers reached the wreck, they found the ship split in half, as if some titanic force had torn it apart. And Edmund Fitzgerald was not the only case. In 1953, a small fishing boat with 3 men on board suddenly vanished, without a single distress call. In 1990, a couple kayaking near the shore disappeared within 10 minutes. In 2017, a group of professional divers explored the depths of Lake Superior. One of them surfaced, his eyes wide with terror. But he couldn't speak. He died from shock minutes later. Survivors all report the same thing. They felt a freezing current wrap around them, as if something was crawling beneath their feet. So, what lies at the bottom of Lake Superior? The indigenous Ojibwe people have a legend. They believe Lake Superior is more than just a body of water. It is a gateway, a doorway leading to a place where humans were never meant to go. Some divers claim they've seen strange shapes moving in the darkness beneath the lake. But the moment they try to get closer, the figures vanish. So, is it just a legend? Or is something truly waiting beneath the surface? Do you believe in these stories? Or are they just myths passed down over time? Comment below which story creeped you out the most. And if you love content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss another mystery.